welcome to the War and Peace Baseball Podcast. This is episode 86 for Tuesday, September 12th. I am Ray Estrada. I am here with Farbod Markazi and Alex Rudy today. How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic. What about you, dude?
I'm doing well. Did I hear somebody drop when I was playing the
I think
music?
I think Rudy dropped. I tried to re-add him. It's all right. He'll probably get back on while we're doing this.
Let's keep
Let's keep
rolling.
going.
We're
It's
sticking
off
with
the rails already,
it's off
bro.
the rails already. This podcast might be off the rails part 2, and Uwe's not even here. But let's get it right into it. I don't have the drops that Uwe has. That's my music. That was, if you're wondering what song that was "Shine on Me" by Night Horse. You can find it in the MLB '09 the show soundtrack, and so I have a few songs from that soundtrack. But so I'm just saying that so we don't get copyrighted. It's their song. It's not ours, and it's not royalty free. But let's start it big. There's two really big stories, two opposite ends of the spectrum. I'll start with the one that I'm going to kind of rant on. The Dodgers continue to slide. They've lost 5 out of 16, 10 straight losses for the Dodgers. Justin Turner has said we're the worst team in baseball right now, and it's something that I would agree with.
As the Dodger fan.
Yeah, as a Dodger fan, it's kind of hard to wrap my head around how bad they've been. The magic seems to kind of gone from them, like earlier
Especially
in the season.
considering that they were 40 games over 500, and now Cleveland is 4 games away from catching them as for best team in baseball.
Yeah, but that's how crazy it is. They dropped 15 to 16, and they're still the best team in baseball by 4 games. That's how crazy.
That's how good they
that's
were.
How crazy good they were. And here's the thing too: they hadn't lost a series since, like early June, I think, when they lost 2 out of 3 to the Nationals. They lost that series to Milwaukee, and it all started from there. It went downhill from there.
That goes to show you don't lose to Milwaukee.
No, apparently not. The Cubs are struggling right now after losing to Milwaukee over the weekend. But I think they'll be fine. Still 9 games up in the division, I believe. I don't know if Arizona played tonight, but 9 games up in the division, so still a hefty lead. And so I think they're gonna win a game eventually, and they're not gonna keep going on 15 to 16 skids through the rest of the season. And Diamondbacks.
Okay,
be that
no.
hot.
We've talked about this off recording before. Do you really? I don't know. Obviously, this is very weird. This is concerning if you're a Dodger fan, if you're a sports fan. Like, what the heck? The best team in baseball? Like, ever since that Sports Illustrated article that said best team ever,
The cover.
they've gone down. The cover, yeah, they've gone down. But I'm not. If I were a Dodger fan right now, I would not be worried about making the playoffs. I'd be worried about the playoffs because the team that, obviously Arizona's not going to stay as hot as they have been, but the Dodgers are also not going to stay as cold as they have been. I think that's going to be a good series, especially when the Dodgers come to play. The Dodgers will be coming to play. They're a very good team, but when the Diamondbacks come to play, that's going to be a very good game too. That's going to be that's what I would be worried about as a Dodger fan because the way the Diamondbacks have played them in recent weeks.
Yeah, and the thing is too, the Diamondbacks hit left-handed pitching very well. JD Martinez especially.
That's why they picked him up.
That was a huge
That's why
ad for
they
them.
picked him up.
JD Martinez Player of the Week last week, or for this past week. So yeah, that's the thing. The Diamondbacks match up the best with the Dodgers. When you consider that Robbie Ray has been good all year. He's a lefty that Dodgers don't fare too well against lefties, and the lineup for the Diamondbacks is just downright scary. You have the MVP frontrunner, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Paul Goldschmidt, JD Martinez, Jake Lamb. It's a scary lineup. But then the Dodgers could be a scary lineup if Taylor plays like he started the year.
The Dodgers are a deep lineup if they play. Obviously, if they play like they have been, like they've been before, but they're a very deep lineup too. Don't discount anything that team has done all year. That's a scary, scary team when they're back on.
Yeah, I think this skid kind of adds a lot more intrigue into the playoffs. It's not a
It
question.
makes baseball more fun.
No, exactly. As a pure baseball fan, it's entertaining. As a Dodgers fan, not so much. But
Quick question,
yeah.
Rudy, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yay.
We got him back.
Secretly.
We got him back.
Yay.
Sneaky, sneaky.
Rudy, what do you think about the Dodgers right now?
I'm sorry, Ray.
So
I don't have any explanation except this is one of the most fascinating seasons in sports history. And I'm so excited to see how it plays out and then see how people end up analyzing it from here on and into the future, because nothing like this has ever happened in baseball, probably never will. And I cannot wait to see what happens in the playoffs, because there's no way to predict it. And then I think this Dodgers season literally is baseball summed up.
100%.
Oh, really?
100%. And it may and what you said is go ahead.
I would say all true baseball fans, I think, probably all would enjoy it immensely. I think as good as like this, anything that's happened this year, and I think this is probably my favorite year of baseball in a long time. It really has made me love MLB like I did when I was a kid. Again, so many notable moments and milestones. Thank you, and interesting takes. But this Dodgers is just so quintessential and representative of like what baseball is about. And I know it's like getting very philosophical and over.
No. I 100% agree with that.
And I think,
yeah.
And I mean, I want to point out something else you said. It's the fact that you can't wait to see what happens in the playoffs, and that's also part of baseball. This makes this whole playoff series a lot more fun to watch. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, and Rudy, I'll ask you this because we were talking about it while you were disconnected. If you were a Dodger fan, what would you what's your outlook on this whole situation? Like, should they be worried about the division? Worried about the best record in baseball? What's your outlook on it?
There's no way they should be worried about the division, because I believe you guys are still 9 games up after this historic slide down. So
that's amazing to think that
it would literally be like the biggest collapse in recent sports history if they lost the division at this point. I think the MLB playoffs are so fickle that I don't think this can really be like confirm anything either way. Though there's no doubt that I think the Dodgers have now gone from like, if you're a Dodger fan, extreme confidence that you're making at the very least the NLCS and expectations of making the World Series, whereas now I think, just winning games is all you guys would want. But I still would say that on paper the Dodgers are the best team in the National League still. And
the playoffs are a different animal, though.
And the playoffs are so different.
The way the Diamondbacks have played the way the Diamondbacks have played the Dodgers recently. I know they've been hot. I know the Dodgers have been cold as hell. But I think if you're going into the playoffs hot, you have a very good chance at advancing.
I agree. There's no doubt that the momentum is huge, but I still think the Dodgers have a team built for the playoffs, actually maybe more than regular season.
Oh, absolutely. Depth.
A lot of veterans. But what actually worries me the most is that if you guys do miss it this year to make the World Series, is that the end of the window, because there's clearly is a lot more holes than people really than it appeared there would be first half, and injuries are still a gigantic issue. And a lot of players just inconsistent, underperforming, bloated contracts. And it's kind of funny that the Dodgers and the Cubs have both kind of, heavily regressed from extremely good periods of success.
They've traded halves on doing good. The Cubs were ass in the half, and now they're doing very well. And now it's the other way.
I think,
and what I will say for the Dodgers, talking about next year, and we talked about it in our coming into the season too. The Cubs had a lot of question marks, even though they had won the World Series, and I think that's what the Dodgers have too. Because Chris Taylor, I mean, my dad and I have talked about this. Chris Taylor does not have a track record of hitting this many home runs, this many RBIs, hitting this well from the leadoff spot. Said like there's only one guy,
especially in
who has,
that
like,
stadium.
yeah, there's only one guy who has like 5 years of like 20 plus home runs or whatever, and that's Adrian Gonzalez, and he has like 2 this year. So that's the thing. There's a lot of guys who are seemingly overperforming. Is Bellinger going to have a sophomore slump next year? We thought Chris Bryant was unstoppable after he won his MVP, and then he struggled this year. So I think there's a lot more question marks than people are willing to acknowledge going into next year.
I think people are acknowledging a lot more now. But
exactly.
go back 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. No one, not a lot of people would be acknowledging it.
Yeah, and I think too what this slide does, it's still, I mean, if they lose in the playoffs, people won't be crushing them as much because they weren't like a possible record win number team. Like, oh, they lost in the playoffs. How disappointing. Now the narrative is going to be, oh, look at that slide in September, how disappointing that was. But then the playoffs don't look as disappointing in perspective. At least there's that.
Yep.
So now, I mean, are we done on the Dodger thing, or did anybody else have anybody else?
I mean, are you done on the Dodger thing?
I've said all I've had to say. Have you guys said anything?
I hear Washington national music.
Oh.
I don't know if they had music. Did they have music? Anyway,
It's the national anthem.
Oh.
I would think, right?
I mean,
yes,
but that's
maybe.
in every MLB stadium.
Off the rails.
Off the rails. Let's get back on the rails. Let's go to a team that is speeding down the rails right now. The Cleveland Indians have won 19 straight games, the second longest streak since 1947. The only team that has more is the 2002 Moneyball Oakland A's, who won 20 in a row. Farbode, what do you have to say about this? I know you have a lot to say.
Well, I mean about that, I was gonna ask: are they like one win shy of getting a movie about them made in 10 years? Well, I mean, what else is there to say about this team? They are, as you said, just blistering hot. This team starts out with how every Indians team has started out in the past: the good starting pitching, the starting pitching that we expect. Kluber, Carrasco, they've been what we know. Bauer has stepped up big for them. Lindor's Lindor. Encarnacion's been mashing. Jose Ramirez has stepped up and been just on fire right now. They're like I said, they're one win shy of tying the A's, getting a movie made about them in 10 years. They have over 100 run differential in this streak. It's beyond impressive, and like throwback to right now, they're the best team in the American League. Throwback to when we said the Astros had the best record in the American League early on in the season, and probably no one was going to catch them. And now the Indians pulled this off, and if the playoffs started today, they would be in place to have the home field advantage throughout the playoffs, unless they end up taking over the Dodgers. Now I'm going to ask you guys a question though. They have the Tigers for 2 more at home after today. They have the Royals at home for 4, and then an off day, and then Angels, Mariners on the road. Where does this end? When do you guys think this is going to stop?
I mean, it's baseball, so it could end tomorrow for all we know.
Oh.
I mean, but all those matchups are really good for them. They should win those series. But I don't know. I could see them winning the next 3 games. But the thing is, like, remember when the Dodgers had 11-game win streak earlier in the year, and they came in and they're hosting the Atlanta Braves. Like, oh, 11-game win streak, the Braves are coming into town. All right, we're probably gonna sweep them or win the first 2. They lost the first game, and the 11-game streak was over. So it's hard. It's baseball. It's hard to say when they'll lose, but I could easily see them winning 3 or 4.
Oh yeah, these predictions are all just lofty. Every prediction in baseball, for the most part, is lofty because baseball is baseball, and so much can happen. So many different things, even if it's like very well protected by probability and stats. So many different things can happen, and I completely agree. These are just lofty predictions. Rudy, what about you?
I'm just going to go all in and just say they're going to win out the rest of the season because that's what I'd love to see. I think that would be the most fun answer.
I don't want that to happen because they are going to play the Angels, and I'm trying to make the wild card.
I think, not the Twins keep on doing whatever the fuck this season is that they're doing. But I think just kind of going back to what I was saying overall, the Dodgers, this Indians team is a great example of baseball. Yada yada, crazy season. Yada yada, and I think most importantly is that their rotation is healthy and absolutely crushing it with the playoffs, and that is terrifying because this rotation has been like this mythical creature for like 3 years now, where it's like on paper it just smelled delicious,
and then just injuries.
It just never, it was never what it should be, and now it appears to be, and this is a very talented, balanced team that's good at everything.
I'm gonna say what we said.
I would be scared if I was. I as a Yankees fan, I pray to God we don't play them in the second round, but in the first round if we make it past the wild card. But I think at this point that's guaranteed.
I'm gonna say as like what we said before the 2015 playoffs, and that was if the Mets make the playoffs, they have the pitching to go deep, and that was when they were all healthy. That was when they were all doing good. And they did go deep. They obviously lost in the playoffs. We know what happened, but this team has the pitching to go deep again, make that playoffs, possibly make a run for the World Series. I mean, that this team, like as you said, is just scary, beyond scary, and they probably have a better offense than the Mets did at that point too. I was gonna say something.
Well,
yeah.
Oh, you want to get?
I don't know how I feel about this personally, because if you guys know me, I love streaks. I don't like streaks to end, and I like the 20 game streak by the A's, and I just like that whole story. But I also don't want this streak to end. So I don't know what I'm like. Part of me wants this to end tomorrow for them not to pass the A's. Part of me wants this to, as Rudy said, just win out the rest of the season. And just like how the Dodgers were losing, not because I'm an Angel fan, I just wanted that streak to keep going. No offense, Ray. I love streaks.
Well, I'll say to the pitching point. I forget who it was on MLB Network made a great point. Last year, the Indians went to extra innings of Game 7 in the playoffs with essentially just Corey Kluber and Josh Tomlin. Trevor Bauer was ineffective in the playoffs. Salazar and Carrasco were hurt, I believe.
Salazar came back like in the World Series, and he only pitched maybe 1 or 2 innings at a time.
He was bullpen. So you look at this Indians rotation now, still dominant Kluber.
Think about it. Salazar's in the pen.
Carrasco's having a career year. Trevor Bauer is on fire. This rotation is even scarier than last year, and their offense is hitting without. I mean, Jason Kipnis.
As Rudy said, they're healthy. That's
exactly they're healthy. Trevor Bauer hasn't cut himself on his drone yet. But it's so when you look at the offense, Jose Ramirez is really picking up. Jose Ramirez, Francisco Lindor, no Kipnis.
I think Jose Ramirez just got hurt.
He left
tonight.
He left after getting hit on the forearm. I have not seen anything extra on that.
But I think apparently, because he hates the Tigers with a huge passion, fury. He goes straight Sammy Sosa on them every time they play. But
the fact that in 19 games they have a run differential over 100, that's just insane.
And this is all without Michael Brantley in the lineup.
Yeah.
So no Brantley, no Kipnis, no Chisenhall.
I think Chisenhall's back now. I'm pretty sure, but he was out for a majority of the streak. And I did read somewhere, which is very interesting, that they're going to play Kipnis possibly in the outfield.
In center, because we'll talk about it a little bit later, but Bradley Zimmer probably done for the year.
Not a huge loss in my opinion, though. He's not been super effective.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. But defensive wise as a whole,
definitely.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know what there's much more to say. Is that the Indians are the best team in baseball right now.
And I think it's not surprising, though. I think, is anyone really that surprised by the streak? Like, I'm not.
No.
Like, I thought they were this good the entire season. I just knew they would eventually hit the stride. And did it take way longer than I ever would have expected? Yes. But it was a Terry Francona, very balanced squad. Like, it was eventually going to they were going to start winning games at the pace that they were supposed to eventually. Like, it was like, I don't know. I thought it was kind of inevitable. I didn't think they would win 19 in a row, obviously. But I this whole year I've kind of been on there, like, supporting them and saying that they're gonna get hot. I remember like my over the summer, like would go to my friend's house every week, and his dad's from Cleveland, and I'd tell him, oh, they're about to get hot, they're about to get hot. And I would say it for literally like 4 months of the summer. Now that I'm back at school, and now that they're that's the time that they're hot. I love it.
Yeah.
I was cursing them the whole time.
But yeah,
Good for
and
you.
we were talking about it when we talked about it, like the Twins were challenging for the division. The Royals went on that hot streak in the middle of the year. We're like, oh, Cleveland's not really run away with this, but we all said, no, Cleveland's probably going to take over this division. Obviously, not 19 straight games. We didn't anticipate that. But I think you, me, and Rudy both had Cleveland as our World Series picks for the American League.
Wow, I did.
I mean,
nice.
Maybe.
I mean,
know
the
I
thing
did.
is,
I know you had Houston Farbo, which is
I
a good answer. I don't remember what.
I had
who he's
the
was.
Dodgers
It
and
was
Houston.
Yeah.
I had the Dodgers and the Astros.
It's,
2 weeks ago, that pick looked wonderful, fantastic.
For most of the season, it looked fantastic. We had the Mets and somebody else.
Oh, that.
Yeah,
He's just trying
I
to be
remember.
fun.
I remember we slammed him on that Mets pick. And speaking of the Mets, they're not out of the wild card technically yet, but they're out of the division. The Nationals have clinched the NL East because that division is terrible. Miami made a slight push towards wild card when Giancarlo was ripping off home runs like twice a day. But the Marlins are the Marlins. The Braves were never going to be anything. The Mets were bad. And the Phillies will be the Phillies. And so the Nationals are the first team to clinch the division. We all thought it would be the Dodgers because of their huge lead, even despite Arizona and Colorado being able to lead the Central if they were in that division. But Dodgers obviously 15-16, so the Nationals are the first team to clinch the NL East. What do you guys think of the Nationals' prospects for the postseason?
I've heard from I've like been watching shows and I've been reading around, and a lot of people think they are easily the most complete team going into the playoffs. With their ace, but they have the hitting, they have great starting pitching. Do you guys think they are the most complete team going? That's probably going to make the playoffs at this point.
I would say arguably they are. They did. I did like the moves that they did to short their bullpen with Kinsler, Doolittle, and Madsen, but they're the most complete team in terms of it. But I don't know, like the Dodgers, I think surpassed them in terms of like certain aspects of the game.
I mean, I don't think there's a wrong answer here, because I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Indians or the Dodgers or the Astros, or like the teams that we know are going to be in the playoffs and have known, will make the World Series. I don't think I'd be surprised. I'm just like considering like what MLB Network said as the Nationals being one of the most complete teams going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, they are complete. I don't think Harper is back, is he?
I don't think so, and there's no reason to rush him anyways.
No, there's no reason. Obviously, you clinched the division. But
exactly.
Yeah, so Scherzer, is he on the DL still? Scherzer's out.
I don't know, but Strasburg has thrown 32 consecutive scoreless innings.
Yeah, Strasburg's
that's something to talk about.
Gio Gonzalez has been solid all year. And like Rendon, Trey Turner, when he's played, has been good. So
I'll look into Scherzer.
Yes, but and then that back end of the bullpen has served them well. We're not used to seeing Nationals close out saves at this rate. Rudy, what's your opinion on the Nationals?
I just want to know what the alternate universe where they had Adam Ian healthy for the whole season was like.
Oh wow!
Because the fact that they're this good with all these injuries, first of all, demonstrates just how unbelievably shit the NL East is, and how that's a disgrace to baseball. But
you're not wrong.
Answering the age-old question, what happens if you have a division where three teams just tank, while one team is one of the best 4 teams in baseball? 4 or 5 teams in the top five for sure at least. And I think, this is probably the most open playoffs we've had in a long time.
It's going to be fun to watch.
I really think that almost any team that's going to make it, even in the wild card spots, probably any team except for the wild card number 2s, will have a chance to go all the way. And I think I'm really excited for it. I can't wait because it's wide open.
This is why we love baseball, though, because has there been an NBA playoffs in recent memory that anyone could win it?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think it's ever happened in history.
It's never happened because the nature of basketball. There's so many. Here's my thing about basketball. There's so many points to be had in a game. Is that eventually the best team will win a much more majority of the time than baseball. Baseball, you can lose 1-0 any day of the week. So baseball is much more of a crapshoot than basketball, because basketball, the best players shoot 30, 40 times a game, and on rare nights where they're awful, then they'll lose to bad teams, and that bad team still has to be hot. So baseball is much more of a crapshoot than basketball.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think this is what we call baseball, and I'm not trying to make that weird or, as Rudy said, philosophical. It's just the fun part of baseball is you never know, and it's a whole lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and
the last thing. Sorry,
no.
I was gonna say. I will have to just add this. They are the Nationals, so they won't win anything.
Yeah.
I just have to say that.
I've said it all. I've said it all year. As good as they've been,
I always forget
as
this.
well as they look like they match up, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't trust the Nationals until they win anything.
Exactly. They always convince me that they're really good, regardless of circumstance, and then I always forget that. Wait a second, they don't ever actually win anything. So I had to just make sure that was reiterated, and we all remember, because I personally had forgot about that briefly.
Yeah, and so we kind of mentioned talking about playoffs. Let's get into some races. We finally on this podcast kind of have a block of time really to kind of dig into some of the races. So we'll start with the most exciting one of them all, the AL wildcard race, specifically for the second one. Although I'm sure Rudy.
The Yankees are 4 games up. They're gonna have that spot.
4 games up, yeah.
I mean, it's this wild card spot is that old topic that gives me gray hairs right now, and it's just a whole lot of excitement too. The Yankees and Twins are right now the top 2, and the Angels are a game back. The Twins and the game back of the Twins. The Rangers are 2 back. The Royals are 3 back. The Orioles and the Mariners are 3.5 back. I'm not gonna get past them because who cares? I know we talk about this a lot, but there is a need to, because this race is just exciting and just crazy and weird. Yankees are back to playing good baseball, winning 7 of the last 10. But the teams I just mentioned are there's only one team that's over 500 in the teams I just mentioned. That's Texas, and they've only won 6 of the last 10. It's not like they're that much over 500. Angels and Mariners have played 500 ball. The Rays, Twins have each won 4. The Orioles were hot for a while, and now they've lost 7 of the last 10. I'm not just trying to spew facts at you guys, but there is a very real chance that if one of these teams or a couple of these teams don't step up and play like they actually want the spot, there will be multiple tiebreakers to have in that spot when it's all said and done. Excuse me. I'm not going to ask you who's going to win that second spot, because that's the toss-up. Not really toss-up, but it's just so many different teams that could get it. But last week we asked the question, and we chose 3 teams who could be there. Give me 2. Who could get the second spot?
I'll say I'll put it between Minnesota, Angels, and Texas.
I said 2 teams.
I mean, Minnesota's in the spot, so
okay, fine.
2 teams out or
break the rules already. I see.
I still call them Anaheim and Texas.
Good. Rudy?
The Mariners are my second favorite team, so I'm going with them. I don't care if it's logical.
Mariners don't have pitching.
They're close enough. They're close enough, and they haven't made the playoffs in way too long, and I feel bad for their fans.
And me like streaks and being an Angel fan, I do not want that to continue.
And I'm mad that Ichiro doesn't play there anymore, and that Nintendo sold them, and my childhood is over. And I just want them to have A-Rod and Griffey and Randy Johnson and the world to be okay again.
Albert Pujols just stole a base against the Mariners. Does that change your opinion?
That's why they're going to make the playoffs, is because they are just that skilled that they actually helped Pujols prove why he's not the worst player in baseball.
I mean, that's a whole other topic, man. I will talk about that. But, I mean, this whole wild card spot, it's crazy to think that we're this deep into the season and there's this many teams. I mean, that's why they added this wild card spot, because at this point of the year, if it was just a one wild card spot, so many teams would not get a lot of ratings. So many teams fans would not be excited just about their team's chances of making the playoffs because there's that one less spot. But now this just adds competition. It's really exciting. It's just also really nerve-wracking too.
Yeah,
that is the fun of sports, though.
But I think you hit it right in the head. How they, that's why they added a second wild card spot, because the Rays are still kind of in it. 4 back of the second one. They're probably the last team that you go down the list and you're like, okay, they're within striking distance. But if they have one wild card spot, they're 8 games away from the Yankees, and they're out of it. So it makes it much more entertaining.
I will say, though, I think the Rangers, I looked at the Mariners, Angels, and the Rangers upcoming schedule. The Rangers have arguably the easier one. The Angels are going to be playing the Astros and the Indians. The Mariners are as well. So I think the Angels and Mariners are equally difficult. I haven't checked out the Twins schedule to decide that either.
I'm sure they have the Indians somewhere in there.
They do. They definitely have the Indians somewhere in there. And the Angels, Mariners are each playing each other one more time. And I believe the Angels Rangers are playing each other one more time too.
Yeah, so let's move on to a couple NL races. There's a couple of interesting ones. We'll start with the division race. Really, one of the 2 intriguing division races in all of MLB. AL East kind of comes and goes, but the NL Central, the Cubs haven't run away with that division. They stormed up to take the division lead, but they've lost 3 straight now, and the Cardinals have come back to put themselves 2 back. Milwaukee's hanging around at 2.5 back. What do we think about this NL Central race? Rudy, I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead, Rudy.
I don't understand that division in any way. It just defies all logic and reason. What is going on?
Why? I think I was about to start mine with those same 3 words.
Why is Milwaukee a thing? Why does everyone still think that Madden's the best manager in baseball when he has this absurdly touted juggernaut that won the World Series and yet can't escape, Milwaukee and the worst Cardinals team in like a decade?
Hey, but you still have to give those 2 teams credit. They still are playing very well.
The Cardinals
you expect the Cubs to be where the Nationals are right now.
The Cardinals are the National League Yankees, so I hope that they end up winning it and just make all Cubs fans cry. I know Milwaukee fans won't care because 1, there are none, and 2, the 8 that are in Miller Park eating sausages are just happy that the season's been entertaining. So
Take
that's
shots at Miller Park and their fans. They have good beer up there. You take shots at the Rays fans, except not right now because of Hurricane Irma. But the Rays never have any people coming in. I wouldn't take shots at the Brewers. It's just I agree with you on the division, though. This is just a team that we thought were going to be just running away with the division. Because
I'm just bored of it. Like, get on with it already. Just win it.
Exactly.
Like, come on. It shouldn't be this hard. That Cardinals team is not good. Neither is that Brewers team. I give them a lot of credit for having the seasons they've had. It's ridiculous at this point.
I think a lot of it is us waiting for the Cubs, not necessarily to win 19 in a row, but hit the stride like the Indians did and just take off. and run away with the division, but they haven't yet. They have played very good good baseball since the second half started, but they haven't been that Cubs team that we have expected. I mean, I don't think going into the season we thought that September 11th, September 12th right now, the Cubs would be the worst division leader in the National League.
They're 3 games shy of 80 wins.
Worst division. They're the worst division leader in baseball right now.
Yeah, and the thing is too is that we said we thought the Cubs were gonna take away. They got that Quintana trade. They punched first against the Brewers at the All-Star break, and they stormed back, took the division lead. Like, okay, so they're gonna go and probably go on cruise control, or not cruise control necessarily, but they're gonna kind of pull away in the division and win by six or 7 games at the minimum. But the Brewers and then the Cardinals have come and went within 2-3 games. It's just not encouraging from a Cubs standpoint. Like you said, worst division leader in baseball. They'd be 3rd in a few divisions. They'd be 4th in the NL West, behind the Diamondbacks, the Dodgers, Diamondbacks, and the Rockies. So it's yeah. So and I agree with you, Rudy. On the Madden point, people praise him as this great manager. He won a World Series with the Cubs through all his quirks and stuff. Got the Rays to the World Series, but outside of that, he hasn't done much else of major success. He's only been to 2 World Series.
He's just really funny.
He's just really funny and quirky, and he's had like quick success at places, but yeah, it's concerning for the Cubs that they're that they haven't run away with it. I think Milwaukee has the best chance to get hot and strike and maybe steal that division away. I still think the Cubs are going to win this division. I don't think St. Louis can maintain how hot they are just to get within 2 games, winning with 3 straight, 8 of their last 10. Milwaukee has won 5 of the last 10, and they're 2.5 out. So I think Milwaukee can, if they can hit, and like Chase Anderson, Jimmy Nelson's gone for the year, unfortunately. But I think Milwaukee's the next best team in that division in terms of this year. I don't quite see them getting there, though. I still think the Cubs are going to win it, but it's going to be a very kind of disappointing win.
I would agree.
Yeah, and so Milwaukee is not just looking at the division for the for their playoff hopes. The NL wild card is still kind of a race. St. Louis within 3.5 of Colorado. Milwaukee within 4. Outside of that, Miami's 10.5 back. So, do you guys see? Now, Colorado's won 5 straight. Do you guys see, including tonight against the Diamondbacks? So, the gap will remain at 9 at least, and the Dodgers down 4-0 in that super rain-delayed game against the Giants right now. Do you guys see either St. Louis or Milwaukee making a wild card push against the Rockies?
It's not impossible, but it does seem somewhat unlikely. But this is such a weird season that's been impossible to predict that I don't want to say anything's impossible. I don't really like this Rockies team. I never have. They're still kind of been kept alive by a super hot start, similar to the Yankees. I think they're kind of a worse version of the Yankee team a little bit. But at the same time, I mean, I just don't know if there's enough time left. I think if the season was like maybe a month longer, or even a couple of weeks longer, I would probably say they would eventually get eliminated. But 3.5 it's a decent lead. You don't see. I mean, it's happened before. You've definitely seen teams give up that big of leads this late in the season. But it's not. I feel like it's not common. Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I would agree with you. It's not that common to lose 3.5 games in 3 weeks.
Farbode, any thoughts?
What? Sorry, you guys like froze out.
Oh,
Nice.
We're talking about how common it is for like St. Louis to 3.5 back. There's more or less 3 weeks left in the season, a little less than 3 weeks. We're saying it's not that often that the team storms back from 3.5 back to like take a spot.
We've seen St. Louis do that before, but that was more than 3.5. It was 2011. They came back from 6 or 7. Obviously they're different teams. I think it's possible, but I still think it's going to be the Rockies and Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I think that's fair. There's not much intrigue in the NL at this point, except maybe that Central race and maybe that wild card race. And the Dodgers are losing a lot, so there's
until the Diamondbacks take the Dodgers part, right?
But so that's about all we have for kind of news.
That was an angry laugh.
And like outlook and stuff. A couple fun notes that I saw just kind of scrolling through news feeds looking for stuff to put on here. Jacoby Ellsbury is officially the king of the catcher's interference. On his 34th birthday today, he garnered a catcher's interference call, and the 30th of his career, surpassing Pete Rose for the all-time record. Rudy, as a Yankees fan, how do you feel about Jacoby Ellsbury being Major League record holder?
Fuck you. I despise him so much. I hope he retires.
We have our podcast
triumphantly because of this record, and he is the bane to my existence. I despise him passionately. Congratulations on beating the biggest disgrace in baseball history's record. So good for you, Jacoby. Go ground out 8 more times next game. You suspect shit.
All right, I wasn't quite expecting that, but so another quick one. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Brian Price, the Cincinnati Reds manager,
that was really funny.
Went out to argue. I believe it was a strike 3 call, with the home plate umpire, and in the middle of it, because it was the 7th inning, in the middle of it, the stadium started. Whoever was there performed "God Bless America." So Brian Price and the umpires stopped mid-argument to pay their respects, take their hats off, and stand and face the flag for "God Bless America." And then after it was over, they went right back to arguing. I thought that was very fun to watch. What did you guys think of that?
I just thought that was one of those memes. It was really funny.
Yeah, it was funny. And Farbo mentioned it earlier, but Albert Pujols has a stolen base, and according to Farbo, it is officially a stolen base. It is not a defensive indifference, which I thought was the only way that Albert Pujols was able to advance.
It wasn't deep in the game, man. It wasn't late in the game.
Either way, though, a stolen base to Albert Pujols' credit, I didn't think was possible. But good for him. You mentioned he's close to some milestones, hit milestones.
45 away from 3,000.
Yeah, so next year probably project to get that.
Let's hope so.
Now let's turn on to some not so much fun news. Some injuries. We'll start with an Angels pitcher who is out for this year and probably out for much of next year.
All of next year. Something's up. And I mean, it's either the training program or the trainers themselves. Something's up with the Angels figuring out. They need to figure out their pitchers because Heaney just went out of the game with shoulder discomfort. Yeah. Skaggs has had arm issues. Something's up, and I don't think it's this pitching coach because he's new, but it might be the pitching program he puts on. It might be the training staff. Something's up. They need to figure that shit out. Yeah.
So the pitcher we're talking about is Alex Meyer, torn.
He's good stuff too. That's really annoying.
He was a pleasant surprise this year for you guys, the Angels. 6'9", so that's always a plus on the mound. Torn right labrum, I believe. I know
his motion just screams shoulder injury though. So I can't say I was too surprised by this. His motion and throwing 98 every pitch with a slider just screams shoulder problems in the future, but I didn't want it to be right now.
Yeah, any guy who throws 98 with a slider like that, you always worry about arm issues. Another one, we talked about wildcard teams. Rudy took interest in Seattle, but Gerard Dyson will be done for the year after sports hernia surgery. So they will be without a solid defensive center fielder, and that's speed off the bases for them. Rudy,
rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Okay.
Yep.
I
still believe.
Despite all the evidence we've given you tonight that Seattle isn't on the right track, but you still believe. I respect that. From the Diamondbacks game, Wellington Castillo has gone to the hospital after taking a foul tip off the groin. I have not seen the video. I don't know if there is a video, but I'm sure that is very painful, and if he's hospitalized for it, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. Wellington Castillo is in a platoon there in Arizona, so I think you're just going to see Chris Herman or Herm the Worm, as he's been called since that appeared on the back of his Players Book in jersey. He'll get a lot of playing time. Chris Inet is also there, so they have 3 catchers. They're fine. We mentioned earlier Bradley Zimmer out for the year with a broken hand, sliding headfirst in the first base. Yet another evidence against why it's not the best idea to do that. We mentioned earlier, Bradley Zimmer's not a huge loss for the Indians, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any injuries that I may have missed? We mentioned Jose Ramirez left with after getting hit on the forearm.
Oh yeah, by the way, you asked if Scherzer's back. He's made 2 starts.
Okay,
he's back.
So yeah, I wasn't entirely sure about that. I normally Scherzer gets a lot more fanfare on my notifications, but I guess not. So that about does it for the main portion of our show. I'm sure that went way longer than we anticipated it was, because it always does when Uwe's not here. But let's get into Stat Game, and I have it this week, and the theme is catchers. So this is all stats concerning catchers. Are you guys ready?
Absolutely.
Now, this is not all these stats. They're like minimum, like 0 inning qualified, like no qualification catchers.
That's other than the whole the throwing out percentage, though, right? Because I
didn't do any percentage ones because that would get screwy with the qualification stuff. Guys who play like 4 games catching. So I did more counting numbers, and because the reason why I didn't do just qualified catchers, because there's only like 11, because catchers don't play enough. They don't play 3-game series consistently enough to for a lot of guys to be qualified. Anyway,
okay.
let's get right to it.
Let's go.
So,
ooh, Rudy, do you want to go first or me?
All ears, babe.
All right, sounds good.
So, who has logged the most innings at catcher this season?
I actually have a pretty good guess on this one. That's Martin Maldonado.
He is second.
Oh, nice. All right. Yeah.
Rudy.
Yadier Molina.
Ding, ding, ding. Yadier Molina has logged the most innings. 1,039 2/3. Martin Maldonado has 1,021 1/3. Third is JT Realmuto. A steep drop off to 970. And then fourth, Yasmani Grandal, 902. Matt Wieters, 898. Zunino, Perez, Hedges, Lucroy, and Barnhart round out the top 10. So that point goes to Rudy. The next category, most stolen base attempts against. So out of all the catchers who have played in the major leagues here, who has the most? How many? I guess I can't phrase this right. Who has the most stolen base attempts against? Who's stealing most against these catchers?
Matt Wieters.
He is 6th.
Okay.
Let's go with.
Wait, is this stolen bases or like stolen base attempts? Okay.
So who do the runners respect least, essentially?
So like stolen bases and caught stealing added together.
This is total. Yeah, this is attempts.
All right.
Jason Castro.
I think he plays
27th on the list, so that point goes to Ford.
Yes,
Bode.
awesome.
Stephen Vogt leads the league in that stat. 59 stolen base attempts against, 7 caught stealing.
I bet the A's and the Brewers love that.
I didn't realize he caught that much this year.
7 caught stealing.
He's in the National League.
You're right.
Number two. I'm surprised you didn't guess this. Miguel Montero Because remember the issue with Jake Arrieta early in the
I'm
year.
really surprised that
Why
these guys.
he was released from the Cubs is because
I can't believe he's still second. He hasn't like.
he got signed by the Blue Jays. He's been playing for the Blue Jays.
He didn't start for them though, right?
He's Martin's backup, but he's still getting enough games. I think Martin went on the DL first stint too. Wilson.
I feel like you have to suck a lot to get released, and still, two guys get released mid-season and still be number one.
Vogt was picked up pretty quickly.
There.
Yeah. Third is Wilson Contreras. 51 stolen base attempts against to 20 caught stealing. Kevin Smith, whatever. It's an A, but he's white. Chicago White Sox.
Who is that?
The Chicago White Sox catcher. Apparently, he's their catcher.
I've never heard of him.
Uwe and I didn't hear of him either. I think we did the last fantasy podcast. I know we missed last week. Sorry, people, if you're still listening.
Who?
Kevon Smith. I don't know. He's a white guy, but he spells his name Kevan.
Are you sure that's not an Oot player? That is a lie.
He's not an Oot player.
We might have an issue.
You will not believe what he put on the back of his player's weekend jersey.
What he put?
What he put?
It's the original spelling of his last name when his grandparents came from Poland. So it looks something kind of like Samizhes or something like that. There's like a J and a V in there or something like
Samarja?
That, but like if you like condense it was very interesting. Uwe and I couldn't figure it out. I actually had to like Google it what it meant. So he's fourth on that list. JT Realmuto is fifth. Wieters, Flowers, Zanino, Salvador Perez is ninth. I don't know why people are stealing on him, although he's only has 18 caught stealing this year. And Omar Narvaez, the other Chicago White Sox catcher. So the White Sox, nobody respects their catchers or their pitching staff, apparently, when they're on the base paths.
It's okay.
So it's 1-1. Now let's move on to stat number 3, most wild pitches. So which catcher has the most wild pitches on the year? There's 2 tied for first.
I'm going to go with the one that I think allowed the stolen base on Albert Pujols, Mike Zunino.
He is one of the guys tied for first.
Oh, nice.
48 wild pitches. So Rudy, you really have to tie to force I'll tie break on this question.
We should mention it's like 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. Rudy's time right now.
It's about to be 3 a.m. Rudy's time. He did JR's Bleeding Blue Radio podcast before this, and then got chewed out by his mom on the phone. So Rudy is kind of exhausted right now. If he sounds more exhausted than normal.
He sounds pretty exhausted normally.
I'm gonna go with. I'm so lost and confused. Let's just go with Travis d'Arnaud because I miss his name being mentioned as a top prospect.
Wasn't he hurt?
d'Arnaud. He is not in the top 30 of
nice
of wild pitches. The other guy tied for the top, Jonathan Lucroy, the guy who blamed his pitchers for his framing stats, not his lack of ability to frame.
Oh, wonderful!
What a nice man.
Yeah. Gary Sanchez was third with 47. Martin Maldonado, 45. Brian McCann, 42. Contreras, Realmuto, Barnhart, Wellington Castillo, Tyler Flowers.
Barnhart's having low-key a good year.
Yeah, I saw him in Single A few years ago. He hit 2 home runs off of Zach Lee, the guy that the Dodgers traded for Chris Taylor. And my dad and I were like, yeah, Zach Lee is not going to be a good Major League pitcher. But we said keep an eye on Tucker Barnhart, and he's turned out good. So now 2-1 Farbode. So Farbode can seal it with this category. Most caught stealing. Maybe we shouldn't even have those numbers earlier. So who has the most number of guys that they have caught stealing? Not a percentage, because that would be unfair. That would be unfair.
No way. Rudy, you want to guess?
Nope, you can go first.
Okay, well, the only I know we know like there's this isn't my guess. We know there's like obviously Yachty who's just who has that cannon. But what I've been watching all year is the Angels, and they've actually been doing good. So I'm going back with Maldonado, seeing where he is.
Second. Martin Maldonado is second.
Oh,
So
nice.
Oh
he
my
has
gosh.
to guess number 1. This
Brutal.
time to continue the game.
I'm so sorry, Rudy.
This
It's
is.
just
I mean, this is
Hey,
like. I mean, catchers.
I warned Ray before this. I have a pretty good feeling on catchers just because of Maldonado.
The top tier catchers too, because this is. I mean, how often do we get stat game like this close to the top every time? But maybe catchers is a kind of exception because of the lack of depth there. But Rudy, what's your guess? You have one name that you need.
Can I have a hint?
We've mentioned his name on this podcast.
Who?
I'm gonna go with Barnhart, but I don't really know.
Is that him?
That is Tucker Barnhart, number 1 on the list.
Oh my god! What luck!
Edging him out by 1. Caught stealing. Tucker Barnhart has thrown out 29 runners. Martin Maldonado has thrown out 28. Real Muto is 3rd. Yan Gomes is 4th. Wellington Castillo is 5th. And also earlier I lied. Wellington Castillo is not on the D-backs. He is on the Orioles. I'm sorry for lying to you.
Damn it.
So the Orioles
Damn it.
have Caleb Joseph still, so they're okay. And they've lost 5 straight, so I think they're kind of done in the wild card race. Yadier Molina was 6th. Austin Hedges, Yasmani Grandal, James McCann, Gary Sanchez round out the top 10. So now, 2-2. It all comes down to this: who's the catcher who has the most stolen bases? This is offensively. Who's the guy who has swiped the most bags? There are 2 tied at the top once again.
Rudy, you want to go first?
Sure.
I have no idea.
I will end this
Every
with how I
catcher's-
started it and go with Yadier.
Yadier Molina is tied for first in stolen bases.
Hell
among
yeah.
players.
Wait, so I can tie
Love
it?
it.
So you can tie, and then I'll find another stat as quick as I can.
Okay, because like catchers are slow as shit. Who would it be?
There's only one other name who's tied for first.
I'm bouncing off between 2 different names right now. No, why would he? Real Mito.
Farbo has pulled it out. He has forced an extra. JT Real Muto and Yadier Molina are tied.
I was deciding between him and Posey.
They're tied for first with 8 stolen bases on the year. Christian Vasquez
Posey
has
have any?
7. Posey has 5. He is 4th. Austin
Okay,
Barnes.
so that wouldn't have been a terrible guess.
No. But it would have been a losing guess. Austin Barnes is 5th with 4, and then Tucker Barnhart at 4. Chris Herman, the Worm at 4. Wilson Contreras at 3. Austin Hedges at 3. Gary Sanchez at 2. Jesus Sucre for the Tampa Bay Rays with 2. And then a bunch of guys at 1, including like Torino, Russell Martin, Salvador Perez, both McCanns, Chris Jimenez, Cameron Rupp. So, if you guys want to talk amongst yourselves, I'll go try and find another catcher.
Why can't I have nice things?
I love how he stayed silent the whole time. He didn't react one bit to. Dude, I was bouncing off of Posey and Real Muto, and I was like, no, I think Posey has it. But then I was like, okay, I'll just choose Real Muto. I'm so happy I did.
It's a cruel world.
It's not fair. I mean, we talk about it. It's baseball, and it's kind of stat game can be equally as cruel. I'm still trying to find a stat. Jesus.
Off the rails.
Doo-doo.
Dun 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 dun.
Doo-doo.
We should make that an intro for sure.
We need to have like a badly sung intro. Off the rails.
Oh, he's gonna listen to this and be like, "What the fuck?"
Oh, he can't get back soon enough after he listens to this one.
So true. So true. I mean, I think this is a quick time to point out that I might be MIA for the next couple of weeks just because I'm getting settled into college.
Yes,
But-
Farbode is going back to school. Me and Uy are as well, but we will be sophomores, so hopefully we figure it out a little bit quicker.
I just need to
Farbode
figure out.
is starting college. Yay, at University of
It's a-
Oregon. So enjoy your mediocre Pac-12 football team.
It's all on me.
Excited. As long as our dude, if I were there last year though with that basketball team, that would have been fun.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't like that last second shot in UCLA, but whatever.
Hey, Final Four, man.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun. Ray, just pick the first stat that you find. I don't care if it's a good stat or not. 3, 2, 1.
Who sees the highest average fastball velocity among all catchers? Because
What the heck?
qualified. Do you want
Like when they're batting or when they're catching?
When they're batting. That'd be a hard stat to get catching. Actually, this is a terrible stat. You guys wouldn't even be like.
Let's go with Johnny Bench.
So I had to guess a active catcher, huh?
No, I mean, if you want to, but I'm gonna go to. I don't like the hitting stats with everybody and stuff like that.
We're so sorry to the 3 people that are watching this.
Yeah, there's 3 people.
3 is a gross
There's
overestimation.
3 people who started watching this, and then maybe the 1 person who's still here. This is for our entertainment. So,
Uwe still here. I actually don't know if Uwe would still be here. If you are Uwe now.
I think Uwe's throwing his computer off a cliff right now.
Uwe, if you're still here, send me a text to know that you listen to this.
Okay, I found a stat. It's defensive. Who has the most errors among catchers? Total errors. And there was one. Number 1 answer. The most errors.
Yasmani Grandal.
19th.
Bitch.
Well, tied for 10th technically with the number he has.
What a pussy.
Let's go with.
We have the same. Yeah.
Go.
Michael Zunino.
Mike Zunino. He also has 6. Guess another one. Guess another one.
Yadier Molina.
He has 7.
Yes.
Farbo, can you get a guy who has more than 7?
I'm thinking of
6. There are 6 that have more than 7.
Thinking of the random catchers who like no one knows anymore, but like I don't know anyone's name. Like who the heck was that Kevon Smith guy? Let me think.
This is total errors. So these are guys who have like played a lot.
Maldonado. He's got me.
Martin Maldonado, I do not see in the top 30 of the list. So,
right.
So I mean, it's a bittersweet stat game loss for Farbode, I guess. But Rudy wins stat game.
Whoa!
Started off as one of like the best played stat games, and then it became a tie, and then it all went to shit. So, but Wilson Contreras leads the league in catcher errors with 13. Gary Sanchez right behind him at 12. Young Gomes with 9.
Contreras
with 9. Evan Gattis with 8. Cameron Rupp with 8. Then Vogt, Molina, Vasquez at 7. Montero, Hunley, Stewart, Lobaton, Wieters, Leone, Norris, Ineta.
Who are you talking about?
Grandal and Zunino all had 6.
But where's Jeff Mathis in all this?
Don't see him.
Hey, he's dank.
Yeah.
What's your?
So, do you have? According to the thing, for out of the park report, according to Farbo, he has one. That's all I can garner from this from our planning document. So Farbo, what is your out of the park report for the week?
July 24th, 2019. Off the field accident, sidelines Ram. Keep in mind, this is a different team than the 30 MLB teams because there was an expansion in this league. The Riots, the team's name is the Riots, Jacob Ram, will be out of action for up to 11 months with the torn labrum. The closer reportedly suffered the injury while taping a late-night television show.
Like, I have questions about was he acting in a television show or was he recording it?
He was recording. He tore his labrum.
Tore his labrum and lifting the remote, and he's at 11 months. That's great. Out of the Park never fails to entertain, and I cannot believe that they got away with a team name called the Riots.
I was about to say that is so distasteful.
where are they based out of? Where do the Riots play?
Let me find out. The Riots play in Jacksonville.
The Jacksonville Riots. That's the thing. When you attach a city and then Riots, it sounds like there was actually riots there, but no. Apparently, it's an expansion baseball team.
Kind of sounds like a dick move to Jacksonville. To me, at least. If I was from Jacksonville and
I guarantee you, they're better than the Jaguars at that point, though.
Most likely.
Yeah. So that about does it for this. We're probably gonna call this further off the rails or off the rails part 2. Do you guys have any parting thoughts for this podcast before we get out of here and send Rudy off to 2 hours sleep or whatever? Do you have class tomorrow, Rudy?
We need you back
at 1:00. Thank the Lord.
Great. Now you can sleep in. Okay. Any parting thoughts from either of you?
Ooey, we need you back.
Yeah.
Ui's visiting me this weekend, so possibly we'll have our own special Michigan short podcast.
What if I come up
post game? Please, you guys are always welcome
We're all
to.
gonna fly out to Michigan.
I'm low-key down.
Surprise me.
I wish I had that once. Anyways,
Yeah.
So that'll do it for this show. Reminder: find us on Twitter. We're trying to do some more stuff there. Trying to do a little more interaction. I tweeted out on our Twitter account. If anybody's still here, I don't even think Uwe still here. If you guys want to play stat game with us, we might come up with say we give a stat to Farbode and Rudy. They give their guesses. I don't, and then we give your guesses to. We post their guesses to Twitter and or Facebook, and then you guys can guess and see if you can beat us. Hopefully you can, and then
you don't check the stats.
We don't have the funds to give you a prize or anything, but we'll give you a shout out that if you beat us or whatever. So if you guys want to do that, find us on Twitter at WPB_podcast. Find us on Facebook. Search War and Peace Baseball. Again, War and Peace Baseball. Search that on Facebook. Go and like our page. Trying to do more stuff there. Check out our website. That link will be in the description below. If you're listening on iTunes, you can find us on YouTube, War and Peace Baseball, or War and Peace Podcast, Baseball Podcast. If you're on YouTube, you can find us over on iTunes. Search WPB_podcast. That's my best advice for finding us, because you're going to get a lot of audiobooks, whatever, for War and Peace as you search. So search WPB_podcast. You'll find us there.
You can read those books.
You could War and Peace's masterpiece. Apparently, I don't know if you guys heard this, but the original name was War. What is it good for? But
absolutely nothing.
And peace.
Yeah. I wasn't ready to stop recording. Anyways, so I think that's all the house cleaning we have to do. It's been a very messy house, more than normal today. But Twitter, Facebook, find us on iTunes or YouTube, wherever you are not currently on. Nobody's on anything right now. Anyways, so that about does it for this recording. And Farbode.
Peace.